Hi, welcome back. We're going to talk about basic drawing material. We have a HB pencil and we have a paper. Remember, we have two more papers that we always wanted to use: notebook paper and graph paper, whichever is available. So I prepared three pencils, one with the very dull front, medium, and a little bit sharper. So you gotta know your medium. There are a ton of different mediums, but since we are using HB, let's get to know a little bit more about what the HB pencil is about. First thing that you need to know is, what is HB? I'm gonna keep this one sharp and I'm gonna use the dull one. And we, in America, call it number 2 pencil because it goes number 2, number 3, number 4, but the rest of the world using HB. So if it goes here, it gets darker and it's softer. So don't drop it because it breaks easily. And it goes all the way to 10B. Although I haven't seen 10B, I've seen up to 9B. So 1B, 2B, and it always all the way go to the 9B. In art, when I was learning art first, we mostly used the 4B pencil. So if you go this way, 10H, and it gets hotter and lighter. So B, it gets dark. I believe B is for black. I think H is hard. So it gets darker and softer and very hard. So it doesn't easily break, but it's lighter. So I have a number 2 pencil, HB pencil. I can make lighter line, medium, dark, and even more darker. Right? All you have to do is just apply the pressure. And so the lighter. So if you've been drawing a lot, then you can control this strength, and then you can control the value pretty easily. But what if you're a beginner? Yes, it's true. If you have number 10H pencil to all the way to the HB and all the way to the 10B, then these are easier to achieve with those pencils. So if you are using HB pencil only, I suggest that you practice making lighter line, medium line, darker line. When I was first learning Asian calligraphy art, they made us to use the brush and draw the line many times using newspapers. We've done that for a month. There's nothing else we did. We learned how to control these lines. So how to control this line, light to dark, it is really important. And then after that, you're going to learn how to make the value correctly. But to apply this technique, knowing the paper is next thing that's really important. If you look at the paper, we are not using like fancy papers. We are using printing paper, notebook paper, and graph paper. All these cheap papers, it's thin, so easily tear down, easily when it gets water, the paper will be ruined very fast. Touch the texture, front and back, it's just slightly different. As paper gets thinner, it's hard to tell the texture, obviously, because it's thin. So front side is smoother and back side is rough. It's hard to tell, but still you can feel it if you keep practicing and be careful about what you are touching. So to understand the texture, when they make the paper, they call that hot pressed and cold press. There are two types of papers. So especially in watercolor, this is it influences a lot when you draw something. When you are drawing something realistic, yes, this is really important. Hot presses, the surface is smooth. So that means the texture is very fine grain. You're not going to feel much roughness at all. Cold press, it's very rough texture. So when you are doing the drawing, you're going to see the texture, and then you're going to see a lot of white spaces in between. When you are doing the smooth, you're not going to see it's fine grain. So let's say if I use the microscope and take a look at from the side. So smooth texture is almost not much texture showing. So if you have a pencil, you're going to see like gigantic pencil, and this is just the lead, and then right, so it goes on. So when this touches the surface, it goes all the way to these fine grains. The cold press, it's rough. Some paper is more rough than the other. So when the pencil touches, right, it's going to touch these top parts. So that's why you're going to get more texture because you're going to see through these white spaces that's not covered. Then how do you achieve this one? Just like pressuring the paper, if you push it hard, it's going to get into these spaces, right? And then these rough texture become duller because you're pushing this one hard, and then it becomes duller and duller, right? And then it gets dark. That's how the pen, the value looks smoother when you look at it. So this is an anatomy of the paper from the side. So if you apply that, which one is easier to get into the realistic drawing? Of course, the fine, smooth surface with not much grain. I remember one of the students uses, he wanted to put the artworks in the competition and wanted to make it something realistic. And the teacher gave the wrong paper. The paper that the teacher gave was the paper that we usually use for the conte or the pastel. It has a rough, medium rough texture. The reason is pastel or the charcoal, those kind of mediums has a fine grain, so it's easily, when you put it on the paper, it need to stick in between to make something darker. It doesn't really stick on the top much. Okay? So that was a big mistake. It's really hard to control when the texture is rough. You wanted it to draw something realistic. It's not going to work. And another thing is, whenever you are using the pencil, I noticed that every student just wanted to use something sharp on the top. But the reality is, when you are using the pencil, you should be able to use the top, right? Like writing something, or creating different texture, right? And also you got to know how to use the side of the pencil. If you want to, let's say, draw a tree, there's a trunk, and then you have a very texture, light sources here, and then you have trunk, and let's say the line is going like that, right? And the line, this part is light, you have darker parts. So I was using the tip of the pencil, what if I want to draw the leaf? Leaf, when you draw, it depends on the size or the texture of the leaf that you're going to be seeing the tree a little bit differently. And using the side of the pencil, right, you get the light parts, right? And then you can get a darker parts. So different pencil, if dull pencil, right, you want to go like different technique, right? So every pencil using the side, tip, dull, sharp, you're going to use it differently. So know your medium well, and then it's going to really help you to draw things well. Okay? All right. That's it for today.